Pregame.com.
Welcome back to pregame.tv. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo. He is Ken Thomson. One of these days, I'm going to let you guys sit in the in-between takes between videos. This guy's quite the comedian, and we'll share that with you guys sometime. That'll be the pregame after party.
There you go. Right. Unplugged. Pregame unplugged.
Yeah, I'm going to unplug you. We're going to take a look at the Dallas Cowboys playing host to the New York Football Giants.
For reals now. No more preseason.
This is it. This is what we're waiting for. You jacked up?
I am. I'm fired up. And, we're taping Wednesday, the opener tomorrow, Denver and Baltimore. And then Sunday, boy, I mean, there's nothing like being on the West Coast, though. Those 10 a.m. games, Marco, I love it. You don't have to wait till you're a Pittsburgh boy, I'm a Jersey boy. Don't have to wait till 1 o'clock.
I tell you, when I moved out here 2008, that first NFL Sunday, I'm all excited, run to a sports bar here in town. I was living in a condo on the Strip, and I ran down the street to a sports bar and sitting there and watching the games. It's 10 a.m. And, I watch games. I got to eat chicken wings and that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I looked at my watch, and I'm realizing I'm eating chicken wings at 10:30 in the morning and having a cold cocktail.
Welcome to Vegas, baby. They talk about New York being a 24-hour town. Vegas is the 24-hour town, and you will see that because people have shifts, all different shifts, especially if they're in the gaming industry, and you'll see people getting off work at 8 a.m., and then it's nighttime for them, so they don't know. And if you're inside these casinos, who the heck knows what time it is? There's no clocks.
You know what I laugh at the most, and I know, and you being Mr. Fit here, but when I'm driving home and I pass one of these 24-hour fitness centers, and I look and I just laugh. I said, I won't go into you in the middle of the day, and I'm not going to go in there in the middle of the night.
That's where I play ball. I play ball at 24-hour all the time. It's great. That's funny.
But let's get to this game. The preseason's done. The Giants, they really didn't look good in preseason, and this is a team that, they lost a few people from last year, obviously. One of their guys went to your team,
Bradshaw, yeah.
He went to Indianapolis. If he stays healthy, going to be a big addition for the Colts. Problem's been with him, the foot, if he can keep that sound. But this is a team that every year it seems they get out of the gate, the Giants, and all of a sudden people start jumping on that bandwagon, and before you know it, Fezzik's back. He wants the Sunday night game, and they jump on that bandwagon, and then, the wheels come off the bandwagon, and the Giants have that late season, slide, and it's like, okay, Tom Coughlin's going to get fired. They're not making the playoffs, but they find a way generally to sneak into the playoffs, and Tom Coughlin saves his job. And usually they're playing the Dallas Cowboys, it seems like, if not the last week of the season or the next to last week of the season, and they're usually sealing the fate of the Cowboys every year because this has been a team the Cowboys have had problems with.
It's incredible. When you think back the last one, when they beat New England, and they've beaten New England twice now, and they've come from 7-7 records both years to just make the playoffs and then go on and run through the playoffs in the NFC, go on, knock off New England. Now, the last one, you talk about just about their season being over. They're 7-7. They're losing by 14 points with 5 minutes to go in the game, and Romo's got a wide-open Miles Austin. If he gets him the ball, the game's over. The ball falls short. Eli leads them down 2 touchdowns. They end up winning the game, and then they go on, they win the division, they run through, and they end up knocking Brady and the boys off again. It's phenomenal.
Now, Tony Romo, this is a guy that he puts up a lot of stats. He passes for yards, but he is so prone to the interceptions. And it seems like when he has the interception games, it's not, I had one interception. He's had some very ugly games where he's thrown 3 or 4 picks, and some of them have been against the Giants. What is it with this guy? Is it between his ears when he gets rattled, or what? Or is it because there's such a rivalry here with the Cowboys and the Giants, and it's usually a key game in the division, and it happens late in the season. This year they're playing right out of the chute, which last year they played too. If you remember, we started the season on a Wednesday night last year because I think of the presidential debate or something, and the Cowboys and Giants met, and the Cowboys went in there and took care of the Giants. What do you see, happening in this one?
This is a tough game. I mean, this is a tough matchup. I will say this, and I was talking to you about it, even though I look on the Giants offense and I don't see much depth, and you talked about Ahmad Bradshaw being there, but the craziest thing that I've seen, and I know this is not indicative of what you're going to play. You're not playing the total in this game, but the last 8 times that these two teams have played a night game, Sunday night or Monday night game, the total has shot over 7 of 8 times, not just made it over, way over on average. I mean, it's crazy. Again, 48.5, it's a high total, so he kind of has you leery, but it's just track record. And again, different teams, different players. Again, Wilson's got to step up big. Brown goes down with the leg injury, broken leg, so not a lot of depth for the Giants in the backfield. You talked about Bradshaw not being there. They've got to keep Nix and Cruz both healthy. They don't have that dominant tight end anymore. I mean, I don't know where Eli gets these guys from, but he makes them all look good somehow, some way. He's a lot better than we ever thought he was going to be.
Victor Cruz has been upgraded to probable with that heel injury.
Huge.
Now we're taping on Wednesday, and just one thing to say about that over/under situation. And you talked about it when it seems to be these primetime games at night. I think a lot of them have been, and these have been the times that Tony Romo's had those games where he's thrown all those interceptions, and I think what ends up happening is because of the turnovers, the game gets a little bit of separation to it. So then it forces the other team to, have to go into, a faster pace and throwing the ball more because they're behind. And then it just, again, the snowball effect. If these teams play a clean game for a change, I think you have more of an opportunity, especially with what we're looking at with the teams this year, of maybe being a little more of a lower scoring game. And the fact that it's the first week of the season, the offenses are not totally in rhythm. And, I look at it, and let's not forget, big factor to consider, too, with the Dallas Cowboys this year. They did make a big change this year. Garrett on the sidelines not calling plays anymore. They got somebody to call the offensive plays now. So will there be a change? Will they call plays that are going to stay in the comfort zone of Tony Romo and avoid those blow-ups that he has so often? That's something to consider, too.
That, too. And then you got Monty Kiffin going in now to run the defense for Dallas. So a little bit different there, strategy-wise. And the Giants beat up still offensively and defensively because Pierre-Paul, more than likely not going to go in this game. That deletes their pass rush just a little bit. But Marco D'Angelo, as I will say to you that you always say to me, this is your play. Let's make it official, pal.
All right. All right, Sunday Night Football, we're looking at a line here. The game opened up Dallas -3. It has moved to 3.5, getting some money on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to go with the road dog here, and I'm going to go with them for a few reasons. One, I think we're getting the value being on the plus side of that 3-point field goal. We've got the 3.5 with them. But I look at these two quarterbacks, and too often for me, Tony Romo's had problems in the big games. And you look at Eli Manning, Ken alluded to it. This is a good quarterback. He doesn't get the praise that he deserves because he's not flashy. But at the end of the season, you look and you see the yards, you see the touchdowns, and you see the team in the playoffs again, and you go, how did they do that? He's a big game player. That's something that, as good as his brother Peyton Manning's been over his career, Peyton's got the knock that he hasn't been able to win those big games. He doesn't have a great playoff record. He's got the one Super Bowl ring, but a lot of people feel with the teams he had there in Indianapolis, he should have had a couple more rings on his fingers. And I'm sure Ken, being a diehard Colts fan, would have to agree with that. But I'm going to look at Eli here in this one, and I'm going to take the points. I'm going to give you a very interesting stat involving the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is a one-year sample size. What happened last year doesn't mean it's going to happen again this year, but boy, it is strong data that you got to look to. The Dallas Cowboys last year, if you just blindly played the underdog in every Dallas Cowboy game, you would have went 12-3-1 against the spread. What does that mean? Well, it means, first of all, the Cowboys are not a good favorite. This is a team that makes too many mistakes, that when they do win, they generally don't win by a margin. It also means that when they are a dog, this team plays competitive games and that the points are worth taking with the Cowboys. So if we're looking at a team that doesn't get separation and possibly looking at that close game. Which quarterback do you want? Eli Manning, Tony Romo? I know where my money's going to be. I'll take Eli in the 3.5 on Sunday Night Football. That's my free play, Ken. It wraps up week 1 of the NFL, week 2 of college football. We'll be back next week with more videos, and we dig into the season, we'll be doing more and more videos.
More videos, and of course, like you said, you got Brian Leonard, you got Fezzik, and you got VR, Vegas Runner, doing the early week videos. Then we come in. Also, the 2 radio shows, First Preview, Scott Spreitzer and the guys RJ Bell. This is when RJ actually gets involved with the company. Rest of the year, we don't even know where the guy is. It's kind of like Charlie's Angels. Charlie, all you hear is the voice. Sometimes I think it's recorded half the time, too. But and then you'll hear him on all the national shows. Also, you want to catch RJ Bell on Colin Cowherd's show every Friday nationally. It's 9:45 Pacific, 12:45 on the East Coast. RJ will chime in there, give you some good data, some good stats, some good trends, things like that, especially on the NFL. And then between my show, SportsX Radio, and First Preview on AM 1100 ESPN Radio, going to get a lot of great stuff. Marco's always on my show Monday nights. Got Fezzik joining me Tuesdays, Wednesdays Vegas Runner, Thursday Andy Isco, Friday my partner Chuck Edel and I break down every college and pro game against the number. So lots of great stuff. And the great thing is both shows are chopped up with no commercials right there, pregame.com.
There you go. All right, guys. For Ken Thomson, I'm Marco D'Angelo. Have a great week, guys. See you at the windows and cash some tickets.